Hey there, fellow collectors, Shuki here with a review of the Lupin-Ranger vs. Patranger DX, X-Train Fire and X-Train Thunder. So, here we go. We got more trains, which I always appreciate. I love me some trains. They look kind of goofy. This one's okay. This one's just really weird. But I digress. These make the arms and legs of X-Emperor in either of his forms, depending on which one. Arms and legs, feet, and stuff. I don't know. But this one is primarily Lupin based, while this one is primarily Patren based, as you can tell by the characters on the front of the packages. These were released alongside the Changer in July 2018 for about 1,500 yen a piece, as we have come to expect with the VS Vehicle series. So there are all the functions right there. There is X-Emperor Gunner and Slash up there. This one's primarily Gunner focused, while this one is primarily Slash focused. But these are both necessary for both modes. So even though they have a kind of allegiance, so to speak, they are required fully for both modes. So that is about it for these. Let's get them open and take a look. Alright, here we are. So we'll take a look at X-Train Fire first. It's got the silver and red color scheme, which I absolutely appreciate. I love the way that this one looks. Very simple. Got wheels on the bottom. There is the rails. 32 is the number. Rolls decently. Can't complain about that. It does have the dial back here because it is a Lupin-focused item. However, the dial doesn't turn or anything of the sort. So that's a little bit of a bummer. But there you go. It's there. It's still got a little hat-ish looking thing. I know that's just sort of like the cockpit, but it still looks like a little hat. I like it. But that flips up, and that flips up, and that is the attack mode. It adds guns, question mark, to the front of it. So there is the attack mode for X-Train Fire. And that is all this one does. We'll take a look at the sounds in a minute. But first, let's take a look at X-Train Thunder. Don't like this one at all. I don't understand. Like, I can see the train in there, sort of. But, like, this part really irks me. I don't fully get it. I don't know. But it looks a little bit better when we switch it to attack mode. There is the rail right down there. And unfortunately, this one doesn't really have any sort of trigger aspect to it. It kind of looks like it's sort of not really. So X-Train Fire kind of works a little bit better in that regard. But this flips up to make the attack mode. So now it's got a little scooper thingy on the front. And it looks a little bit more trainish to me now. It does have the X right there, which is nice. But yeah, that is it for X-Train Thunder. Take a look at the Versus Changer. And you can't hit the button either. It's a lost cause on this one. You can flip it upside down. There's that. We'll do it right, though. Flamethrower this. Neat. I like it. And the summoning sound. The air horn noise saying fire just sounds so incredibly ravish to me. I like it. So next up is Thunder. Again, it can go upside down, which I guess actually fits more. They always flip it up, but now I got an electro gun. So I love how they kind of kept it going with this one being Patren focused. It says Keisatsu Boost, as well as the like dun 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 sort of rhythm that those summons always have, while this one does the air horn noise. I dig it. I feel like the Lupinrangers are just giant trolls, but anyway, so that is that for these two. This would have been a very short video, but we do have some formations to take a look at. These can form arms for Patranger and Lupin-Kaiser to make Lupin-Kaiser trains and Patranger trains. Yeah, I know, great name, but let's go ahead and take a look at those. Alright, so we got Lupin-Kaiser here. He is armless. We're going to go ahead and take this, flip that around. This does not flip that direction, so this has to be this arm right here, and then there is a little fold out little thingy right there, and then on this side again has to be that arm because of the way that the joint works, and that also has a little thingy to flip out, and there is Lupin-Kaiser trains. Yay. I hate this as an arm. I don't mind this too much, but both of them just look very derpy. This one doesn't have a bend or anything like that. It's just like, oh look, here's my train arm, and here's like, oh, here's my weird claw train arm. I think this is just too thick to me for this to look appropriate, I guess. Especially because he's got really thin legs. He looks very gorilla-ish right now. But there is that, and of course, we can go ahead and change it up to Patranger. Not very different at all, just the middle's different. I forgot to flip the legs up. Heavens me. There we go. There's Patranger trains. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to look at X-Emperor. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take X-Train Silver, and we're going to, as it's like gold on the tip here, we're going to take X-Train Thunder. If I get any of these names mixed up, I apologize. And attach it to the back right here. So we got this long train thing. And then over here, again, connector is silver. Gonna go ahead and take X-Train Fire and attach it to the back right here. So you got this whole formation going forward, and we're gonna take X-Train Silver and just kind of run it through here, and that it will kind of connect right there. And so now it makes an X. Oh, how original and neat. This part will come off too. We'll just set that aside for now. That's the head. But yeah, so now we kind of pick this up, and we're going to go ahead and do X-Train Slash first, just because that's kind of the way I've had these pointed. And fold these down a little bit. Not easy to do with my camera setup, but I am trying my best, and it fell apart. So one thing to note is that this middle portion does move and click, and then this part obviously will make our 2 feet. So we do that. Then up here, we're going to swing this down, and then swing this down right here. We'll swing up both of their little arm things. And you have to be really careful because this is very loose until you swing it around to the back here and you get the headpiece situated. So you're going to flip it like that. That is the Lupin one. Ignore that up there, and it'll just connect to these 2 slots right there. And now you have the head, and you're going to flip this right here. And there you have X-Emperor Slash, and I like this one quite a bit. I was really worried about this part being very intrusive, but as you can see, it's not too bad at all. It does look a little bit gaudy from the side. We go ahead and rotate him. It does have this big like hulking thing out of its belly, but other than that, I kind of like the way it looks. Having the 2 bullet trains here definitely makes it a little bit more thematic and matching. So there is that. You could take this out of attack mode and it'll make these a little bit more similar in shape, but I do like the way the blue and the red kind of thingies work over here. Down here at the feet, you do got the two kind of locomotive-esque trains. This kind of ends up looking a little bit more like a cow catcher, I guess. So there's that. But yeah, all in all, I dig the way this one looks. That's fair, I think. You also got the head right up there, kind of hanging out. Obviously, that can't really change or move or anything like that. It is kind of stuck there, and it is kind of floating. You can stick your finger right under it, but you know, ignore that, I guess. But there's that. I like the way that this one looks quite a bit. In fact, if I were to display him, I would probably just display him like this, or just display it as trains, because trains are cool. So in this mode, it unfortunately doesn't really recognize it's in a robot mode. It just plays the train noises from the X-Train Gold. So that's not too thrilling. I really wish I would have figured some way of doing that to make some cool sounds, but alas, it does not. But as you can see, I already put those down. I'm going to go ahead and flip that up, take that off, and kind of prep this for what is to come. Kind of fold it right there. That is good-ish. You're just gonna do this, make this do a full cartwheel over here. I hit the button. I'm sorry. And then fold these legs a tab over. And then that will stand-ish. Then fold these down and down. Then fold these down and down. Like I said, it is very, very wobbly until you get back here, straighten things out a little bit. For this head, you're just gonna do it like this. So it does have this gaudy thing up on top here, unfortunately, but it'll just tab in to those slots right there. Then you flip that around, flip these up, and then this middle portion is gonna go right here. And then go like that. And there you have X-Emperor Gunner. And he's not too bad. This just causes a whole lot of issues. For starters, you can pose him fine just like this. But if you go ahead and like move the arms forward, he can kind of balance, but this arm doesn't even go forward at all because of this thing. And if you even like tip him a little bit, he'll just fall forward because this is so front heavy. Like as you can see, just like right there, having that arm forward, he's leaning quite a bit forward. So it's a little bit of a danger in terms of display. And even having that arm down, he is very, very front heavy. So you have to be particularly careful. Thankfully, X-Train Silver's foot is quite long. And I think that's one of the only things kind of saving this from just sort of toppling over. So this is very gaudy in this mode because of how it's sticking out. I don't mind a hit cannon. Armada Megatron has a hit cannon, and I think he's really cool. So like if this was positioned on the back and like stuck out under the armpit, maybe, I think it would have been a lot less intrusive. But that is just how this one is. This arm might as well not even be here. It is completely pointless. You can flip it around like that, as if he was holding it. But again, you're kind of entering that dangerous territory of the front-facing heaviness. So just be careful. It is posable like this, though. But it's a lost cause if you move this one at all, though. Like, it does not stand with that one forward. So you have to have that one on the side if you want to pose him with that arm straight. But there's that. So that's a little bit of a flaw, in my opinion. I don't particularly mind the way it looks in general. I think the suit in the show is perfectly fine. But it just doesn't ultimately work for me as a toy. And it unfortunately makes no gun noises. However, in either mode, if you hold down this trigger, it does do the transformation jingle for Good Kuru Kaiser, and I appreciate that greatly. So speaking of, let's get this formation on the road. Or on track? On track, that would have been a better pun. Alright, here goes nothing. So for this formation, you're going to need a Good Striker in the robot mode, the yellow and blue Dial Fighters in their arm modes, Trigger Machine Nigo and Sango in their attack modes. We're going to modify this one a little bit later on. And then Trigger Machine Ichigo, as well as the red Dial Fighter in their standard modes, the X-Trains in their standard modes, and then these in their standard modes. So here goes nothing. I'm gonna kind of move these aside and start from the bottom and work our way up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take X-Train Fire, and this is gonna go on this foot right here. Now the way that these connect is really stupid. I'll say that right off the bat. There is no ports up on this unit at all. There's nothing to clip into. Instead, it is simply going to flip this little piece up right here, which I can't seem to get. There we go. It's gonna port in right there. Why there's not a clip here, I don't know, but that's gonna slide up and clip into place right there. Right off the bat, you can kind of tell what's going to happen. You add some weight to this, it's doomed. This is like a recipe that's doomed to failure from the very beginning. And the same thing over here. Again, no port whatsoever. You're just dealing with this little tiny clip area, and it just doesn't work at all. It's very depressing. It's okay right now, but as soon as we take these guys, there are pegs or holes right here, and then pegs on X-Train Thunder, and that will peg in right there. Meanwhile, over here, again, holes, pegs, and they will plug in. She wasn't fully extended. She'll plug in right there. And that's the actual foot formation for this. The baton sticking out, it's really derpy. I'll keep it for now, but you can just simply plug it like that, and it looks a lot better. In fact, I'm just going to leave it like that. I don't care. So yeah, again, the problem, you pick it up, it falls over immediately. There's no saving it at all. So it doesn't affect the displayability at all. It's very secure in that regard. You can wheel him around, nothing's really going to happen. But if you pick him up to move him, those feet will just fall straight off. So if you're planning on trying to have to move it a lot, I would suggest, if you want to keep it in this formation, to put some sticky tack right here or here, and that will maybe help secure him a little bit. Otherwise, I just hope you don't have to ever pick this guy up. So whoever designed the feet needs to just not work for Bandai anymore. So moving on up to the east side, to that deluxe. What's next? I actually don't really know. We'll do the X-Train Gold and Silver next. So for that, we're going to kind of shift it around over here. These parts are going to ultimately be flipped forward. In fact, we'll flip them just a little. Nope. Okay. So for X-Train Gold, you're going to take off this part as per normal. And then this part is going to rotate like this. And then this part will rotate sort of like this. So it'll look ultimately kind of like that. And these pegs right here, it's going to tab in right here. And then ultimately there's also one over here that will tab right there. So this is actually as weird and kind of scary as it looks. The legs are already screwed up. I'm just going to move those out of the way. No one needs those. We're going to just peg that right in there, and then that will peg in right there. And like I said, as weird as that looks right now, it is actually quite secure with those two tabs. So this part will just swing forward a little bit, because we need to take X-Train Silver and rotate it around just like that. And again, pegs, tabs, all that fun stuff. I messed that one up a little bit. There we go, it should look like that. And then that will tab right in. If I can see, I can't see because it's black and dark in there. There we go, all pegged together. And then there's a tab right there. And that will peg right into place there. And so now we have our robot nice and secure-ish there. These up here are gonna swing down to the sides. And we're gonna take the blue dial fighter, plug that in right up there. The yellow dial fighter, plug that in right up there. So now it's got some forearm action going on, and I dig it. The headpiece right here is going to flip around like so, and it'll peg right into the usual slot on there. The red dial fighter is going to go right on the front here, just hanging out like this. And Trigger Machine Ichigo is going to sit right on top of the head. Let me put the feet back on. But there we go. There is Good Kuru Kaiser VSX. Yeah, the feet are terrible. Whoever designed the feet are stupid and shouldn't have a job. Not a fan of those. But everything else is very weird, but I've grown to love it. The first fight scene in the series was, in my opinion, phenomenal, despite it being all CGI. The CGI looked good, and I don't know, I dig it. I like the way the feet look. The toy is just terribly designed, with just the way that these fall off easy as is, because they're only by friction pegs. And then this clip just falls off completely. So again, sticky tack might remedy that. The arms, being the trains, I think works really well. Plus you still have use of that elbow joint, which I think is pretty cool. It can't really click too much further. You can get one more click upward. But again, just having that elbow is nice. And then you have the little tiny arms up there. That is essentially the Gatling gun and the saw, which also have their own little bits of articulation. Is nice, and as weird as Trigger Machine Ichigo looks up there, he's not terribly out of place. And the red dial fighter makes a very nice looking sort of chest piece for this form. Plus you do have the Kaitou Kaiser logo visible, as well as the Lupinranger logo visible, despite them both not being straight. But yeah, I don't hate this at all. I was expecting to, but the more I play with it, the more I have it on display, the more I actually just secretly love it. And X-Train Thunder's already tilted more than he should be. Great. So I might remedy the feet a little bit with some sticky tack, but other than that, I don't know. I'm kind of sold on this thing. I really like it. I know a lot of people won't, but I love these like cluster F formations. It's just definitely my cup of tea. Plus it uses a lot of the things that we have. Unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot of ports open. There is one here, and then one over here on X-Train Gold. So there are a couple ports open, but there's not enough to use everything available to us. So there is that. I really wish we could, but alas, having the whole team together in one robot is pretty neat. So that about does it for this review. If you like the show so far, I definitely urge you to check these out. I do love it. I love the forms. I love the compatibility with everything. It is really neat in that regard, but I understand it's a weird design that isn't for everybody, but it definitely has my seal of approval. So that about does it for this review. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care and have a great one. Bye. I'd like to thank Mike, Joey, Joe, John, Josh, VZ17, and all my fans who support me on Patreon.